been happening in the news?
Oh my God.
Well, why don't we kick it off? We are back together and starting the new year with this breaking news story today. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just announced his resignation. Take a look.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
Well, Trudeau went on to say that he will stay on as Prime Minister until a new leader is chosen for the Liberal Party. The country's parliament is now suspended until March the 24th while that process begins. This announcement comes after months and months of calling for his resignation. Notably, those exploded after former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland quit last month. Okay, let's react to this, ladies. Ooh. Andrea, we know where the audience stands on this. Where do you stand on this?
It was very interesting to hear you guys cheer. Whether you love him or hate him, it was really hard to watch. It was hard to watch someone who loves their job have to step down and back away from a job. And several times in his speech, he mentioned that he is a fighter and that he loves this country. And again, I never questioned his love for this country. People may have questioned his decision-making, but not the love for his country. And this is a job that is in his blood. Let us not forget his father, Pierre Trudeau, was our prime minister from 1968 to 1979, and again in 1980 to 1984. But unlike his father, he's had a very messy time. And he will go down in the history books of having a very chaotic, dramatic time.
At least towards the end.
At least towards the end. But the one thing I will give him is that he listened to what the people wanted. He's stepping down and he's listening, and that is most important.
You know what's interesting?
Right?
See, I had no idea that there was a poll back in November that 2 out of 3 Canadians had a negative impression of him, and half of Canadians wanted this to happen today, wanted that resignation. And this was fascinating with our audience. This half, not to call anyone out, you guys all cheered. And this side was like, well, you know, I'm not too sure. But that does represent the country. It's really, really interesting.
But we can't ignore the next few months are gonna, to me, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little anxious. It's gonna be a little chaotic as we try to figure out what's gonna come next. And whoever that next leader of the Liberal Party is, my hat's off to them. They have a tough job ahead of them, and they're also gonna have a very short runway to run.
That's the thing that's the part that's maybe making me a bit unsettled, because obviously what he said was he wants to make sure that there's a robust, you know, inquiry into who this person might be. But the thing is, we don't have a lot of time. And we need time to, like, the chances are we know which direction the next election is going to go in, but we need to have somebody who has a shot. And so I feel like right now the problem with trying to have some kind of open call, like, I don't know what the impression that was left was.
Like an open casting call, you
I don't know, an open casting call? Maybe it's a reality show? Like, I don't know. We don't have time for that as a country.
We don't have time for that. I think there's a lot of names coming forward as some potential front runners, because I think just as quickly as we heard Prime Minister Trudeau resign, the next conversation's already happening. Who's going to step in and run? And I think that for me, even I know a lot of people have said, oh, the next election, it's a done deal. I'm not one of those people. And I'll tell you why. My vote matters. Every single one of our vote matters. Never forget that. And number 2, you know, I like the idea. This is democracy at work. Democracy is messy, it's chaotic, and we've been really lucky compared to our southern border friends.
And European.
We are living parallel lives kind of right now.
We are kind of are, but why I'm okay with that is this is what democracy looks like. I'm actually really excited to go through this process with my daughter, who's now 10. She's old enough to kind of get it, because this is how democracy is supposed to work. It's never supposed to be perfect. And I think if we think it's supposed to be ideal and so Pollyannish, like, we got to wake up. And I have to say something very, very clearly. This country is at a crossroads. We have a prime minister, whoever that person is, who's going to have to go up against a guy named Donald Trump. And whoever that is, they need to be coming out of the gate ready and swinging for this country.
Do you know what? That's very interesting. I couldn't agree with you more. But I feel like, and myself included, we sort of operate under this maybe incorrect idea that one person, man or woman, can fix this all. Like the idea that most Canadians who were dissatisfied with Trudeau, it was because they simply didn't like him. They simply felt that they were tired of him. And this idea, like, Trudeau isn't responsible for my mortgage rate on my house skyrocketing. That's not his fault. A lot of people, I think, tend to blame him, and there's this idea that whoever we elect next, they're gonna fix it all.
Well, and
they're gonna fix healthcare. They're gonna fix...
Already, Poilievre has come forward in his interview with Jordan Peterson. Let's not even go into that. But in his interview, he did say, Canadians can't expect things to change overnight. He's already laying the groundwork for that. And I will say, just to mention him for a moment, the one thing I didn't like about today is that many of the news organizations, you saw Justin come out, and whether you like it or not, he did field questions from journalists. Same with the Bloc Québécois leader. There was one person who so far, as far as I know, and this may air once this is no longer true, somebody put out a message on X, on Twitter, and that was Poilievre. Now, why does that matter? It matters because, as Marshall McLuhan once famously said, the medium is the message. So if you don't take questions from journalists, if you don't allow people to interrogate, if you present with something that actually has background music and is just like your statements.
A commercial?
It's a commercial, basically. And to me, that is a very thing that we should pay a lot of close attention to, because journalism matters in this country, interrogation and questions matter, open and honest conversation matters, and if you start to erode that, we've lost something in our democracy.
2025, Cynthia.
Don't do it. No, she already has a job.
And
she already has a job. You sit your blank here. You already have a job. Thank you.
I will say this.
I just love what you said.
Thank you.
It's very exciting. Speaking of women running, you know that Chrystia Freeland, who of course we know famously resigned as her post as finance minister, in early polling, it was done as of yesterday, she is leading the polls out of the possible contenders. She hasn't officially announced anything, by the way, but she is so far, when you've asked Canadians who would you like to see lead the party, she's doubling Mark Carney right now in the early polls. And so is there a future with Canada's first elected female prime minister?
Oh my God, we are overdue. We are overdue for women in office in this country.
Might be getting ahead of ourselves.
Now that I like. Her quitting, no. This Chrystia Freeland, yes.
Oh, it's going to be an exciting week and an exciting few months, no?
It's true. It's true. You're right. It's true.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.